Last year, I made an extensively researched short video called How Quickly is the US National Debt Growing? It took me a lot of time to make the video, but I condensed it into a very short video of only about 20 minutes, showing that the national debt was growing by about $1 trillion per year. So it was bad before the coronavirus. However, things are starting to really get out of control, and I will show you the announcements that came out on Monday and some of the things that led up to it and some of the projections after that in the coming slides. So this is the U.S. national debt, and it is growing way faster now than $1 trillion budget deficits per year, officially. This was a tweet from a couple days ago that Scott Skirm put out. He is executive vice president in fixed income and repo at Curvature Securities. So he put out a few days ago that the Treasury is projected to issue $373 billion in net new Treasuries, but the Fed was planning on slowing down their purchases. So something a couple days ago, there was a red flag. And then on Monday, we found out an enormous announcement that the Treasury plans on borrowing $3 trillion in only a couple months in the second quarter to 2020. Insane. In addition to that, they're already projecting another $677 billion for July through September. That is the third quarter 2020. So total, that is a little under $4 trillion. This is a Bloomberg article that came out the day before projecting $4 trillion funding gap that was coming. And Jeff Gundlach tweeted on Monday after the Market Watch story came out that the Treasury was projecting needing $3 trillion in the second quarter 2020. Gundlach says it will be a lot more than $3 trillion. And I'm in his camp. Let's just put it that way. The Wall Street Journal agrees. And the Wall Street Journal also just came out with another article saying that for the rest of 2020, for fiscal year 2020, the budget deficit, $4.5 trillion. Enormous numbers. The effort to combat the coronavirus pandemic dwarfs borrowings during and after the 2008 financial crisis, from the Wall Street Journal. Insane. I've seen projections, though, where it could be $5 trillion or more. So this $4.5 trillion number, this will probably not end up the real number. It will probably end up considerably higher than that. And yet the dollar is still strong, shockingly. The dollar index, this dollar shortage, problems outside the U.S., the dollar index was still above 99 the last time I checked. Almost at 100. Finally, we're still in this stagflate and tax and lie. I put out an extensive piece for my patrons hours ago. My almost 1,000 patrons now. It's growing very, very rapidly. So thank you very much for allowing me to do content, research, analysis, information, and financial education like this. But the governments still want, especially the US government, but other major governments like Japan, the European Union, still want stagflate and tax and lie. But there's a cash flow problem. Remember, I made a short video in the last couple of weeks that the real economy, there's no economic activity really, so there's no cash flows being generated throughout the economy. And cash flows are like gasoline for the economic engine. There has to be cash flows throughout all levels of society. For the economy, for governments, for consumers, for small business, has to be cash flows. And there's not cash flows. So governments, how are they reacting? Tax grab. They're looking for new sources of tax revenue. And it looks like there might be, in different governments, more online sales taxes. So welcome to the dystopia. This all fits in with my stagflate and tax and lie. Although if you read the article behind the paywall on my Patreon account, you will see that to achieve stagflate and tax and lie with the amount of government spending that is happening, it is going to be a lot more difficult for them to keep things at levels of inflation that most people will not notice, that most sheeple will not notice, because the amount of inflation that is coming is going to be enormous. It's going to be really, really bad stagflation, and that is the best case scenario, unfortunately. So I see a lot more stagflation, a lot more taxes, and a lot more governments lying about economic data and lying about how much inflation or currency debasement there really is in the global economy. And it's not just the US government doing it, they are all doing it. This article is talking about other governments looking at online sales taxes because it is a $26 trillion worth globally of online sales. That is a big, big tax grab that governments want to go after. So for national sales tax, value-added tax, welcome to dystopia.